Hey guys, this is Cam for 15, back at it on Cam for 15 Talk Sports, joined by my uncle Darrell, and we are here to give our NFL Week One recaps. Um, Most of the games we did not watch. Some of the games I did watch. We're not going to go extensively in depth, but we'll talk about them to the best of our abilities. Um, this week of NFL football was really good, especially Sunday's morning games. All of them were pretty much competitive, and they went down to the wire.
One
Um,
was a tie.
yeah, I
How do
did.
you tie on the first game of the year?
Only happens in the NFL. Only
I
happens in the
guess,
NFL.
oh man, that was something I had never seen.
Yeah. With the exception of two late games, they were close, but the other two were absolute blowouts. And then Monday night from yesterday, was just insane with the shocker that Seattle somehow pulled over Denver there. But we'll get to those games. We'll get to those games. But starting off the NFL season was a Thursday night game, which was the Buffalo Bills versus the Los Angeles Rams. Um,
As well,
yeah, pretty much. Uh, I didn't get to see the first quarter, but I did hear in the first quarter the Bills pretty much made the first punch and scored. And after I got back from coaching my football game, I watched the rest of the game, and this game was just utter dominance by the Buffalo Bills.
the Rams did. I mean, at one point it was 10-10.
Yeah,
And then after that, Josh Allen said, "Man, screw this. I need to get rid of you all so I can go back home." And they just lambasted the Rams.
yeah, and the Bills they had like three turnovers this game, and they still blew them out. Which
Still won by three
typically
touchdowns.
if you, yeah, typically if you have like three or more turnovers, I guess you can add the Bills and the Steelers to the exception this week. You can get it somehow find a way to win.
Yeah.
Um, but it was mostly kind of a combination of I guess the freaking Rams defense just freaking they just got oh my goodness.
I say it was less of the Rams defense and more of the Bills offense.
Yeah,
They they just got to the point whereas they were just like, screw this. Uh, we got bigger fish to fry. I don't care if you all are the Super Bowl champs or not. National televised game. We about to show y'all what we about.
yeah.
Three touchdown win.
And my bad, not three turnovers the Bills had. The Bills had four turnovers. They had two interceptions thrown and two fumbles lost. Yeah. Um, yeah. The Bills offense just was firing on all cylinders. Josh Allen got whatever he wanted. And then that
Yeah,
one play he made over Bobby Wagner just reaching out for the touchdown. That was just insane.
that
He
was
didn't even go,
exciting.
he didn't even get tackled. He just straight
Yeah,
up went over him.
and Bobby Wagner is supposed to be one of the best tacklers at his position in the league. So I mean, to do it on that guy, man, it just speaks to not only how big Josh Allen is, but how much he really wanted the touchdown.
Yeah. It's funny too. I went to one of my high school varsity game, and actually Bobby Wagner went to the school that we were playing. I didn't take a picture with him, but he was at the game. He left mid game because it was raining, but that was it. Um, in terms, mostly Josh Allen had most of the Buffalo rushing, but he had 10 carries for 56 yards. Singletary, he was only 2 yards short of 50 rushing yards, but he was good. Freaking Stephon Diggs absolutely torched Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, let him know about it too.
Oh my goodness.
Let him know about
Yeah, that
it.
Rams defense, they got cooked. Jalen Ramsey, if
They
you don't like
got,
Jalen Ramsey, you were happy that Thursday.
yeah, they got cooked consistently too in the second half.
Yeah. Listen, Jalen Ramsey, they got to play a better game if they want to prove that they're the like best defense around, especially for Jalen Ramsey. He wants to prove he's the best corner. You can't be getting cooked for like 122 yards.
Yeah. Well, for me, as far as the Rams offense is concerned, to me, it just goes to show you how big of an effect missing Odell Beckham Jr. is to this offense. Because for the most part, I mean, they covered Cooper Cup at every function of the field. And, Allen Robinson, as good as he was for the Bears, he just didn't seem like he had that same effect. as Odell Beckham Jr. would if he was there. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure the Rams will bounce back. I
Yeah.
mean, in their division, it's still up and up. I mean, if you really think about it, only the Seattle Seahawks won in
Yeah.
that division. All of them, Rams, Cardinals, and 49ers, I mean, they all took L's. So that was a benefit for the Rams. So we'll see moving forward. I think the Rams will be fine. But
Yeah.
right now, man, they they didn't look like a Super Bowl champion today.
Yeah. In terms of my thoughts on the offense, it's the same thing. It's a little bit of a combination. I do believe that Odell Beckham Jr. Being gone is making a huge difference, but it's not like he was going to play this year because he's getting off a torn ACL anyways.
Well, I mean, that's true. But I was just saying, you can
Mhm.
definitely tell
Yeah,
but he wasn't there. They really missed his presence. Cam Akers was non-existent.
because he
Um,
barely got playtime.
yeah, Darrell Henderson, he got some carries, but they just man,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
was a bad look for a returning champion.
yeah. And Matthew Stafford, he might want to look other receivers' ways than just focusing strictly on Cooper Kupp. Now, Cooper Kupp, he still did get 128 yards receiving, but you go back,
Correct.
you look at the other receivers the Rams got. Next one would be Tyler Higbee, 5 receptions for 39 yards. If you're not going to share the wealth around and you're only going to focus on Cooper Kupp, well, then eventually teams are going to start game planning. At least let's
And
try to slow down Cooper Kupp.
it was a bunch of dink and dunks. It wasn't really
Yeah.
too much downfield. That's where Odell Beckham Jr. comes in. They need receivers that can actually be able to stretch the field so that Matthew Stafford's arm strength shows. I mean, that way you can actually dink and dunk with Cooper Kupp. You can dink and dunk with Robinson. You can dink and dunk with Higbee. They had no speed on the outside that can stretch those corners down the field, and I mean, it really killed them.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Last thing before we move on to the next game, Allen Robinson. You wanted all that money, and you practically did the same BS you did with the Bears last year.
And stuff, same stuff. Just goes to show you that the Bears knew what they had, and honestly, I'm glad they didn't sign him. I wasn't willing one that was actually willing to give a receiver $20 million.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm good.
Yeah. Um, Now, if you want our in-depth thoughts about this freaking game, go check out our 49ers versus Bears game recap. But we give it strictly from a Bears perspective because we're a Bears fan. But here we're going to try to be unbiased as possible. The Bears pulled off the upset. They beat the 49ers 19-10. Early on, the 49ers pretty much looked like they were in control of the game. And then it takes pretty much a broken play by Justin Fields to Dante Pettis for a touchdown that pretty much flipped this game upside down, gave all the momentum to the Chicago Bears. And after that, Trey Lance and the 49ers couldn't really do anything much against that Bears defense that looked really solid, which I think honestly is going to be a very fairly underrated defense, mostly because the national media has been giving very high disrespect to the Bears, but whatever. Then now you have these national medias like, the Bears don't look too bad. No, if you didn't like it before, then don't bother jumping on the bandwagon.
Absolutely. I heard throughout the entire game how much the 49ers are going to be Super Bowl contenders and they're Super Bowl caliber. And we feel that this roster is Super Bowl ready. Okay, that's fine and great. But you are in our town on our field, and you are, in a sense, by pubbing them up, you are disrespecting us. And that's the way we Chicago Bears fans took it. It was just a total disrespect by the national media by pubbing up this team. And I'm glad we won. And you can say whatever you want about the weather. The weather was conducive to the way the 49ers like to play football. So I don't even want to hear that crap. They got beat at their own game. And I'm happy we did.
Yeah.
We have a look. Let's look at it like this: their quarterback is in his second year. Our quarterback was in his second year. I mean, But you pubbing up Trey Lance like he the second coming to Patrick Mahomes, while you're sitting over there, you're giving Fields some accolades, but you're not pubbing Fields up like you were pubbing up Lance.
Yeah.
So, but when it's all said and done, Fields outshined Lance. The 49ers defense outshined the Niners defense. And in that second half, it was all Bears. that's from what I saw. It was all Bears. Got nothing to do with the weather because the weather was conducive to the way the 49ers like to play, smash mouth football.
Plus, you've been seeing on these media or these national media stuff. Both teams had to deal with the weather. Both teams had to deal with the weather.
Exactly.
I thought from a 49ers perspective, I thought the 49ers shot themselves a lot in the foot with the many penalties they committed. Very undisciplined compared to the Bears. They had 12. I think they had 12
well,
penalties.
I'm talking just the unsportsmanlike.
Oh, yeah, 4. Like three or four.
Yeah. So if you had that many unsportsmanlike penalties, then yeah, man. And when it's all said and done, you probably should have lost.
Yeah.
Probably should have. And then 12 penalties overall. Man, come on.
Yeah, for 99 yards, those are killer. Some of those,
it was killer.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, and some of them, it's like, oh, they would get the stop on third down, but flag right then and there, and then it only keeps the Bears' drives sustained. Trey Lance, I thought he played fine for the most part. I thought, at some parts he played good of what they expect him to do and be that franchise quarterback, but other times, there was times where I thought he held on to the ball too long, and he took some bad sacks. But other than that, it's still room for improvement for him to grow. Yeah, this is technically his rookie year, so that's kind of the thing there. I still do see some national media analysts giving him kind of the sidearm. I will appreciate Colin Cowherd, who has been a hater of the Bears. Yesterday, he came out and showed us I don't give a crap, about what the weather conditions are. Both teams have to play with it, so guess what? And Colin Cowherd, he kind of, to me, he sounds like he's not a believer in Trey Lance from what I heard from him yesterday. But we'll see. I thought the Niners defense, it was stout for the most part. Number 29, he was really freaking good.
Hufanga.
Yeah, Hufanga. He was really freaking good.
He was all over the place in the first half. They gave Eberflus, Getsy, and Williams an opportunity to recover and adjust from first half to second. Once that happened, then I can tell you, and you tell me if I'm wrong, there wasn't much that dude did in the second half. There wasn't much he did in the second half.
Yeah.
So all I can say is that kudos to the Bears coaching staff. They were the true stars of this game. And hopefully they'll continue to be the true stars of the game moving forward when we play Green Bay next week.
Yep. So moving on. I forgot to give our predictions. I actually got them down. Me and my Uncle Darrell were both wrong in the LA predictions. We both took LA, so we're Owen.
Get that.
Yeah.
I said the Buffalo Bills are gonna win the Super Bowl, but I'm gonna pick the Rams to beat them. I don't know why.
So we both took the Bears. So technically, we're both standing at 1-1 apiece. The next.
You're gonna be counting that this year. You gonna keep a tally?
If you want to do that, I can.
Yeah, keep a tally. Let's make this some kind of competition, and then when pop it up on the screen or something like that. When I'm good with that.
Okay.
You'll probably
next game. Next game. It was Saints at the Falcons. Now, we both took the Saints in this game, and the Saints luckily came from behind and won the game, but it wasn't looking good for them because at some point they were down almost 7-26 in this game.
Yeah.
I did watch the NFL highlights video, which they actually fairly do a good job at having a good condensed game. If you look at those NFL highlights on the YouTube channel. But the Atlanta Falcons defense was flying around, pretty much all three quarters. And they were getting whatever they wanted. Offense was doing what they were doing, and they were surprisingly making the freaking are pretty much putting the Saints defense on its heels. But all of a sudden
Mm-hmm.
in that fourth quarter, it just takes that one touchdown by Michael Thomas, and then, it's off to the races. And then, somehow the Saints come back and the Falcons, which are a bad team, they blow the game, a game that they should have won. But I think the turning
Yeah.
point that I saw in this game was the highlight was the fact that Mark Ingram, I forgot it was either the third or fourth quarter. I think it was the third quarter. He fumbled it, and it actually went into an Atlanta Falcons player's, arms, and
Yeah.
they're
First.
already in the red zone. And
Yeah.
then in the red zone, we see Marcus Mariota running. He picked up the first down, but he fumbles the ball, which if they would have scored the touchdown, they pretty much would have put the game away right then and there.
Correct.
But because they didn't score the touchdown there, well, they pretty much kicked themselves in the foot, and the rest of the way they just kicked field goals while you have the Saints pretty much marching down the field. And I saw some of those like last two drives the Saints did. Some of the catches those receivers, Landry, Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, they were making. I was like, oh my goodness, they were some great catches.
And well, for me, and you know how it is by playing sports. I mean, everything could just not be going your way, such as it was with the Saints. All you need is that one play that pretty much turns it all around. And the Falcons indeed gave it to them. Not only did they give it to them once, they gave it to them twice. So, with that being said, and the Saints wide receiver room is nice. I mean, it's nice. And now you got Michael Thomas back at 100%. Man, the Saints is gonna be nice. So it was all, it was not a lot of runs. It was pretty much let's just open up and pass and keep nine. I mean, you still got 41 coming out the backfield too. So it's just like, man, they got a three-headed monster at the wide receiver room, and then on top of that, you got this beast that's coming out the backfield. The Saints has got a really nice offense. It just takes that. It just takes them to just make sure they have a lot of time with each other. It's a little bit more cohesion, a little bit more chemistry, and I think they're gonna be nice for the rest of the year. But this was a tough game. I'm glad they won though, because that division is gonna be pretty special moving forward.
Yeah, Jameis Winston, he was 23 for 34 for 269 yards, two TDs. Jarvis
Both
Landry
on
actually led.
the,
Yeah,
both
Jarvis.
on the mic. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Jarvis Landry actually led the Saints receivers in receiving. So leaving the Browns, he seems like he's on a, he's doing fine. He had
Needed a
414
quarterback. That's
yards
all.
receiving.
All he needed was a quarterback. He ain't never, from to my knowledge, Jarvis Landry ain't never had a quarterback.
Yeah. Marcus Mariota, he was 20 for 33 for 215 yards. Surprisingly, for the Atlanta rushing, and I want to make this mention, Cordell Patterson, he was really good. He had 122 yards rushing.
Yep, too.
Yeah, typically he's known as a gadget returner guy, but this guy, and I guess you can say thank Matt Nagy for something.
Well,
Um,
keep last year with the Falcons, and you're right. The year before with the Bears is when when they started using him out the backfield. Why? I have no idea. I know personally, I didn't care for it, but when he got with the Falcons seemed to piggyback off of what the Bears did, and they pretty much, he became a Pro Bowl player
yeah,
at that particular moment because he was just a Mr. Gadget. They'll put him in the slot, they'll put him wide, they'll put him in the backfield, and obviously you got the whole special teams things. So Cordell Patterson by far is Atlanta's best player. So I'm glad they utilized him. Really glad they utilized him, but the Saints had to do a lot
yeah,
to get this game.
yeah. Receiver wise, the leading receiver for Atlanta was Drake London. Kyle Pitts only had 2 receptions for 19 yards, which is actually
Oh,
shocking.
they basically doubled them throughout every through all three stages of the defense.
Yeah,
I mean, the cornerback, I mean, it would be a linebacker that would man up on him, but the safeties would always give him over the top help. Even underneath, the cornerback would actually help the linebacker out. So, I mean, but I'm pretty sure Atlanta worked those things out with Pitts.
yeah. I also forgot to mention for the 49ers game, the 49ers also lost Elijah Mitchell for 2 months because I think he had like a sprained MCL or something like that.
Or
So
something like that. It was
that's kind
sad
of,
because he just came off a knee injury last year, if I'm correct.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so with the Saints winning, we're both equally 2-1.
Okay.
Um, so the next game, which oh my goodness, I should be saving this, but whatever, I'm gonna get it out the way. This game was one of the crazy early Sunday games, and that was the Steelers versus the freaking Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
we both took Cincinnati, and man, we were
Oh,
wrong with that. Well, Cincinnati had their chances to win, and then they freaking blew it again.
yep.
But because of that, that makes the prediction record 2-2 right now. But this game was crazy. Just from the jump, this game was crazy, and it looked like it was looking the way of a Pittsburgh Steelers blowout. The
Oh
freaking
yeah.
defensive line of the Pittsburgh Steelers were getting whatever they wanted. They were just getting pressure on Joe Burrow. And even though the Cincinnati Bengals did all their efforts this offseason to fix that offensive line, quote unquote, fix that offensive line, those offensive line additions really didn't do anything because Joe Burrow still got sacked like 7, 8 times.
That's
Um,
correct. And on top of that, that one interception that went for a touchdown by Minka Fitzpatrick, roll tide. I mean, he was pressured then. If he didn't throw that ball when he did, he probably would have got sacked anyway.
yeah,
So I'm assuming he felt kind of rushed because the line just wasn't blocking. But be that as it may, he did throw the ball. I mean, he basically threw it directly to Patrick.
yeah,
But I don't know what he was looking at on the play. I mean, he should have known his wide receiver wasn't open. So I'm assuming he was just trying to throw the ball just to keep from getting sacked. So, but Pittsburgh was up, I believe it was 17-3 early on,
yeah, something like
and
that.
over 17 nothing or something like that. And so I got to admit, at that point, I stopped paying attention to it, started watching more of the Bears game. Because I was actually I had both screens up, which I was just one screen, it was just fizzing through, and the other screen directly on the Bears. So I pretty much just got off. I was like, man, this don't make no sense, man. Cincinnati is not playing just like the Rams did, former conference champion, just coming and just throwing up a goose egg, really. And I turned away from it. And I got to admit, once the Bears game was over, we started talking then. And man, that pitcher game was just straight bananas. I
Yeah,
mean, both sides missing field goals. And I mean, McPherson missing a field goal from what, 20 something yards, 30 yards? That's a chip shot for this dude. And this dude was lauded as the best in football last year.
yeah.
And I mean, I'm just like, nobody wants to win this game, you know. So, but Boswell wound up hitting one, and the game was just straight bananas. For me, that was the best game of the day.
Yeah.
For me,
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Yeah, and even though the Cincinnati Bengals they did have their issues, they still found a way to find some way to get back in this game and force an overtime. Which
correct.
you have to question the Steelers. They had like four. I got to look at the stats. They had about four turnovers, I believe. Um, no, they forced five turnovers, and they just come out of this game escaping. And then you look at the offensive stats. Well, Mitchell Trubisky from the Chicago Bears, he,
Don't trip on Mitch. We
he
won.
was all right.
He,
He
he,
was all right.
he won. He won. He won. Him and the Bears, they won this week. So you got to give Mitch some credit. They won, and you know, can't really say too much about the other stuff, but I'm pretty sure. But he contributed. He didn't really do bad.
I thought he
He
was
didn't do
average.
good, but he was good enough to get the W.
Yeah. You know, what happened in overtime happened. I do still think the Steelers should have blown them out. They should have definitely dropped 30 points on them. You can't, but that's the thing. I literally, if the Steelers found a way to lose this game, that would have been like a crazy bad collapse. But
Now, that's true.
yeah,
That's true. If the Steelers found out a way to win, I mean, found out a way to lose, but they didn't. So that being said,
yeah,
Trubisky's 1-0.
yeah. Oh, I know I think they did say they want to get George Pickens involved a lot more because I think he only had like one or two receptions and he wasn't really happy about that. But we'll see where that goes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and I think he had. I want to say he had 3 targets.
Yeah.
I don't think he had very many targets. But again, it's just like when you have a new team and it's more than just, Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, George Pickens. I mean, there are other players. You have to be able to figure out ways to implement these new players into your system. Yeah, not everybody is going to be happy after week 1, but give the Pittsburgh Steelers some time. And plus, Mike Tomlin is an awesome coach, and I'm sure he'll figure out a way to make sure that everyone gets involved.
Yeah. Deontay Johnson, he did make a crazy catch so far, catch of the year.
And the ref called him out of bounds too.
Yeah.
They had to replay that.
Yeah.
That was amazing. And one-handed on the way out, and he still, tippy-toed. And on top of that, what made it so amazing, dude, he was covered. Sick.
Oh.
Sick.
Yep. So far, we're 2-2 in, or no, yeah, 2-2 in our predictions. 2-2 in our predictions. Yep. Next game, Eagles at Lions. Oh, forgot to mention one last thing. TJ Watt, he got hurt. Apparently, they're saying he has a torn pectoral, a torn pec. So he could end up getting surgery. Now, we just don't know right now, as of today, if it's going to be the surgery where we'll just say, oh, you're probably out 6 to 8 weeks and then you'll be back, or if it's going to be season-ending surgery. If it's season-ending surgery, that's a huge loss to that Steelers defense.
Yeah, I was about to say a torn pec. Isn't it like a 4 to 6 month recovery?
Yeah.
I mean, I've never known anyone to come back after that after a few weeks.
Yeah, well, unless I guess technology's advanced that much, but yeah,
I guess so.
That's a huge loss for the Steelers defense. So you have to wonder if that pressure.
Wasn't he Defensive Player of the Year?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's a tough one to come back from.
Yeah. So you have to wonder that pressure that was very frequent by the Steelers, that might still be there, but not as high as it was on this past Sunday. Which makes me bring up the Watt brothers, JJ and TJ Watt. They're very injury prone players.
They are, but at the same time, though, they're injury prone because they give a lot.
Yeah,
it's not like they just run out there and all of a sudden they just break stuff. Like me. I mean, I was injury prone. I couldn't. I had the heart and mind to play sports. I just never had the body. But the Watt brothers, yeah, man, you got to give it up, man. They play hard. They have high motors. J.J. Watt is double teamed just about every time he lines up. T.J. Watt, this is the only time I can actually recall him ever being injured, unless you know something I don't. But yeah, I mean, the Watt brothers, I mean, they're known for being tough guys, tough players. So I'll just say that, hey, man, football is a tough sport, and it does happen to the best of us.
Yep. Next game was the Eagles at Detroit Lions. The Eagles, I would say, escaped Detroit 38-35. Now, on our predictions, I went with Philadelphia. My uncle Darrell went with Detroit. So, record-wise,
but they look good. Detroit actually looked a heck of a lot better than you thought.
I'm still not a believer in Detroit. I don't care. It's Detroit.
I'm just saying, they looked a heck of a lot better. Jared Goff was actually dropping back, throwing bombs to folks. DJ Chark, Amon St. Ra. I mean, they actually played. It was their defense that couldn't stop anybody. But I will say this, dude, man, Jalen Hurts looked absolutely MVP caliber for me.
Yeah.
He had Devonta Smith on one side. He got A.J. Brown on the other. And he just kept eyeballing A.J. Brown to the tune of 17 targets. Yeah, if nobody can stop that, I already said Philadelphia's going to win the division. But that's going to be nice. That's going to be nice. Yeah. I'm not too upset at myself for picking Detroit over Philadelphia, because Detroit really should have won that game.
Yeah. Originally, it was pretty much a blowout by the Lions, but I mean
Yeah,
blowout by the Eagles. But then the Lions found a way to get themselves back in the game. Probably had to
that's
be
correct.
Dan
Jalen
Campbell.
Hurts just kept looking for AJ Brown.
Yeah.
That's all it was. AJ Brown left, AJ Brown right, and then when they tried doubling AJ Brown, he went to Devonta Smith.
Yep. Looks like the Eagles are definitely going to be a problem. And like I said, and like we mentioned, if Jalen Hurts can be a passer in this league, then that makes the
Yep.
Eagles a lot more problematic. The
Yep.
Eagles did lose Derek Barnett for the season. I think he tore his ACL, so that's a fairly big loss on
Ooh,
their defense. So maybe that I don't know when he tore it, but maybe that's the reason why the Lions started to get back in the game.
yeah,
Um,
that was a big loss. He's their top pass rusher, if I'm right.
yeah.
Yeah.
But from the highlights I saw that the Eagles were looking good. That one deep pass to AJ Brown where he caught it and then he couldn't just get he wasn't even getting tackled. Guys were just bouncing off him, and he was
And
just
keep
pretty
in
much
mind,
stepping on them.
AJ Brown is a big boy. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong, AJ Brown is a big boy, and I know Jalen Hurts is really happy he finally got him in there, in that wide receiver room. So I mean, and then it, the Eagles looked really good offensively. They really did. It was, to me is and it's always the same thing for me. And I said this about the Bears as well too. It seems to me that every offensive coordinator has that set of plays they want to use in the first half. And when those set of plays don't work in the first half, you scrap everything and just you use that information to adjust for the second. To me, that was the Eagles as well. Once they got into the second half, man, for the most part, it was just like, okay, the Lions didn't do this. Boom, AJ Brown. The Lions didn't do this. Boom, AJ Brown. AJ Brown, AJ Brown, AJ Brown. Even when AJ Brown didn't catch the ball or Jalen Hurts threw something crazy towards AJ Brown, the defense kept adjusting to AJ Brown. And then that's when they adjusted, ran the ball, Devonta Smith. So it was, I mean, Philadelphia looks good.
yeah, they do, they do. But those in the game. The next game was the New England Patriots versus the Miami Dolphins, and the Dolphins pretty much easily handled the Patriots 20-7. Dolphins, offensively, they got whatever they wanted. The one big play was that one Jalen Waddle play on fourth down for the touchdown. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just shows you how fast. And Tyreek Hill, he was just pretty much dominating the Patriots.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
We did,
Patriot,
we did, we did both pick Miami, right?
yes, we picked Miami. So I'm 4-2. You're 3-3.
3-3.
So yeah,
Yeah, but I gotta admit, it wasn't really anything about this game for me that was special.
yeah,
I was curious as to see how Tua would, you know, drop back and see if he can do anything deep. I mean, he really didn't show me anything, impressive. Primarily because it looks to me that the Patriots was trying to take away the deep pass. Um, so it looks like they went more of a three deep shell to go back to keep them from going long. And Tua did what Tua always does, dinks and dunks, and let the wide receivers do their thing.
yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Mac Jones, he didn't really look too impressive, but the Patriots offense didn't look too impressive.
They
They
got
gave
no
up,
receivers. They
yeah,
got no receivers whatsoever. You know, trading N'Keal Harry was just. I mean, they got no receivers, man. I
yeah.
mean, at best 9-8 probably.
Yeah, and it seems like they don't got really a good offensive line either.
Either.
Jones was taking sacks and stuff like that. So,
Correct. And then they got a defensive coordinator calling the plays.
yep. I don't know what's going on. If we had my buddy Matt Swarmstead, maybe you could give a more detailed analysis of what happened with his Patriots. But for
You
his
might want to
Patriots,
leave Matt alone about this one.
yeah, they're not looking good. Well, I did talk to him about
Yeah.
the Patriots. He was not happy. He was not happy.
Yeah. I was about to say, the Celtics is one thing with Matt, but with the Patriots is something totally different. You might want to leave him alone.
Yeah. Next game was the Baltimore Ravens versus the New York Jets. No, I mean, yeah, right. Crap. Jets, Giants, dang it. Two dang teams. The Ravens blew out the Jets. It wasn't even a contest. So we both took the Baltimore. Yeah, we both took the Ravens. So I'm
Yeah,
5-2. You're 4-3.
it's
Um,
about to change.
yeah. This game was just freaking Lamar Jackson doing what Lamar Jackson does, running the ball, throwing deep passes, and offense for Baltimore had what they wanted. Jets, on the other hand, well,
They were the Jets.
yeah, you had people chanting Mike to put Mike White in. That's how desperate they are, bro.
But at the same time, they were using backup quarterback, Joe
Yeah.
Flacco, immobile Joe. Um, and Lamar Jackson's in a contract year. What did you think was going to happen?
Nothing really. Nothing really. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah.
Next.
Yeah, yeah, nothing really. I will say at the start of the game, it did the Jets made it as competitive as they could, but then Ravens just turned it on them. So yeah.
Okay. All right. That's what you saw.
Hey, I watched the highlights. I watched the highlights.
I saw maybe a few minutes of the first quarter, and most times the first quarter is always indicative of how the game is going to go. Most times, and to me, all I saw was a Ravens team that was, for all intents and purposes, just filling the Jets out.
Mhm.
That's what I saw.
Yeah,
And
that Ravens defense is fairly stout. It did really good.
they were filling them out, and Joe couldn't do anything as usual.
Yeah.
Um, he couldn't, obviously he can't get on the run. If he stays in the pocket longer than 3 seconds, yeah, he might be able to pick your defense apart. Problem was is that offensive line just wasn't doing it for him. Receivers couldn't get open, running backs couldn't run. I mean, we've talked about this too long already. The Jets suck, the Ravens don't.
Yeah. Ravens injury update. Kyle Fuller tore his ACL. So the ACL bug continues to
I
happen.
don't like seeing people get hurt, but I just was trying to tell y'all people about Kyle Fuller. Y'all didn't want to listen. Kyle Fuller's a Pro Bowl. Kyle Fuller did. Kyle Fuller. Man, I was like, Kyle Fuller sucks. He
uh,
absolutely does. He's a zone corner. He went to Denver. He showed he was a zone corner. Now he's in. Now, granted, I don't take pleasure in anybody getting hurt. I really don't. So, and going down the first game of the year is a really screwed up way to go. So we do hope he comes back so he can play more zone defense.
Yep. We'll be back. We only have 1 minute left, but we'll be back. And we'll continue the. All right, guys, we're back with the back half, where we'll just discuss the last few games we got on the thing. I did check this game. I did watch this game. I had four screens. I had one on I had the Bears game on my TV. I had my phone watching this game, the Jaguars Commanders game. iPad was focused, I believe, on the Carolina Browns game, and then I was watching the Pittsburgh Steelers game.
Yep.
I had four screens going on at one time, so I was kind of all over the place. But the Commanders actually come back late to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. This was a really good game, actually. This was a really good game. Now we were both wrong in this, so right now I'm 5-3. Yeah,
We both picked the Jaguars.
yeah.
Wow, we have no confidence in Carson Wentz.
Yeah. So I'm 5-3. You're 4 right now.
Mm.
But honestly, from the Commanders' perspective, Carson Wentz didn't really look that bad. He honestly didn't.
No, he didn't. Um, it, oh man, I'm shocked I picked the Jaguars. I could have swore. Oh goodness gracious! But Carson Wentz didn't look bad.
Yeah.
I mean, they wound up. They did win. They did pull away. The Jaguars didn't play bad at all either. In fact, they were up at
Yeah,
one
they were
point in
up
this.
for a good chunk of the game, and then the Commanders came.
Yeah, Commanders came back. And if I'm right, the Jaguars was up 2 touchdowns, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was a weird week with a lot of teams being up early and then losing these early leads, having to, um, a lot of teams came back from behind.
Yeah.
Bears came back from behind. Cincinnati came back from behind. The Commanders came back from behind. It just seemed like, everybody but the Rams, just couldn't come back from being down, late in games.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence early in this game, he struggled a bit. But in the second half, he pretty much elevated his play and got better. The Jaguars were on their drive to try to at least score a touchdown, but Trevor Lawrence, he threw a really bad pick. He was getting rushed and he pretty much threw it up, and it was right there to Commanders
Yeah,
defender. I know there was like only a few like seconds left on the clock, but you still got to be a little bit better as a quarterback and not just throw something up just to throw something up. You're about to get
correct. Correct. Burrow did the same thing
Yeah.
against Pittsburgh as well too. So again, I'll just chalk that up to chemistry and trying to make a play and things of that nature. I just, like I said before when we did our video to start the year, I'm really curious at how the Jaguars are going to move forward with Doug Peterson as coach, and now he has a really good quarterback and Trevor Lawrence. Because keep in mind, Doug Peterson did really well with Carson Wentz. That year they went to the Super Bowl. If Carson Wentz didn't get hurt, Carson Wentz was the MVP of the league at that particular moment. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what he does with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. Christian Kirk, the Jaguars' leading receiver, with 6 receptions for 117 yards. So I'm guessing so far this week he's earning the money that he's being paid, because a lot of people have issue with the fact that he wasn't getting that. He doesn't deserve that type of money, but whatever. There was kind of a combination of Robinson and Etienne. Etienne, man, he got freaking rocked on one of the hits. He got hit hard.
Yeah, he definitely saw some. He saw some things that wasn't there after that hit. Now, just Christian Kirk. It was a good game for him because they did give him a lot of money. They actually let DJ Chark go just to sign him. So I think that was looks after 1 week. Looks like a really good move for the Jaguars. So again, we'll see how that going. And I think ETN, he probably they might want to check him for stars, concussions, and things of that nature. Because he got hit pretty good. But you know how it is. That's what happens with football. You get hit, and hopefully you can recover from them.
Yeah, Carson Wentz, like I said, he wasn't that bad, honestly. He had 13 yards passing. He had 4 TDs compared to Trevor Lawrence, who only had 1 TD. And the Jaguars, they only had 2 TDs in this game. The rest were field goals, so that could also play a part in them not winning this game compared to the 4 TDs that Washington got. He did throw 2 picks, but other than all, I thought they played good. Gibson was their leading receiver at the same time he was their leading rusher too.
I mean, the thing is, the Commanders got touchdowns, the Jaguars got field goals, and when you're getting 6 points, 7 points on this side, and you're only getting 3 points on this side, I mean, to me, that's not great mathematics. And in the end, that's for the most part why the Jaguars, they just couldn't. They had a lead and couldn't keep it.
Yeah. Still a good game.
Or they had a lead, but they tried to keep it with field goals instead of more touchdowns. Yeah, I'll say that.
Yeah. I like this game. It was still a good game. So yeah. I'm going to continue to watch more Jaguars, see how the development of Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence goes. Game, another easy game, and this was one of the 2 revenge games this week for an opposing quarterback. It's Baker Mayfield going against his former team to pretty much try to get back at his team for trading him away for practically nothing, because they pretty much.
Yeah, what did he say he was going to do? He was going to F them up.
He didn't really do nothing, to be honest.
No, he didn't do a thing. And I think you picked the Panthers on this one.
No, we both picked the Browns. So
we both picked the Browns.
Yep.
I thought, God, this is where I thought I was going to tie the game back up, tie it back up. Dang
Some
it.
some 6-3, you're 5
Oh,
4.
oh. Okay. All right. Because now I will say that I did say the Browns is going to get the Baker 6 times. I don't think it was 6,
You got sacked
but
4 times.
yeah, I don't think it was 6, but they got to him enough to fluster him a little bit. But you know, the Browns running game, as always, was good. Kareem had a touchdown. So
Yeah,
the running game was definitely stout, as we expect the Browns running game to be throughout this football season.
yeah.
But yeah, Baker just showed that, again, he's all bark and no bite.
Nick Chubb, to add to that running thing, he had 22 carries for 141 yards. Just
Yeah.
insane. Jacoby Brissett, he just did enough not to lose the game.
Hmm.
47 yards passing and mildly regular temperature. Obviously,
Yeah.
running the ball is their hallmark, and they don't want to put Jacoby Brissett in any position to lose. You do want Jacoby Brissett to throw a little bit more, well, have a little bit more yards passing, but hey, they still won the game at the end of the day. Um, Baker Mayfield, he was kind of not really doing anything until that fourth quarter. He just came alive, and then he absolutely was um like coming back on them. Like I was just like, oh my goodness, like they were only down like 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and then they make the Baker Mayfield makes the deep throw to Robbie Anderson. And I'm just watching, and I'm like, oh shoot, they actually could come back and pull this off. Um, and they actually do come back on them. They kick a field goal to take the lead, but then the Browns on that final drive, which they end up getting help with, I think due to a roughing the passer call, it ends up moving them up a bit. They get it into to Cade York's the rookie kicker Cade York's field goal range, and he pretty much makes the field goal. And Baker Mayfield in his post game press conference, he wishes he could be saying the stuff he could say, but he was just like, "Well, it's great to see those guys again." And yeah, so
I mean, just listen, stop talking, play. Accept You're in a better position to accept the results of winning or losing if you just shut your mouth before the game. As always, he puts his foot in his mouth, and then when things don't work out for him, he has to sit in front of the world with that dumb look on his face and basically try not to blame it on somebody else. Shut up and play.
it
That's
it,
it.
it would have been funny to see this Panthers find some way to win this game. I think if they had scored a touchdown in that last drive instead of kicking the field goal, they definitely won
Mhm.
the game. But I think part of that was because one, Baker Mayfield, he actually fumbled the snap on that one. It was
Yeah.
second and short. He fumbled the snap, and that pretty much, put them at third and long. So, that was the whole thing. So half of me do feel bad that Baker Mayfield didn't get this win because I did want to see it start just going crazy on the Browns.
for
But
me
hey,
is for me is just like, if you're gonna talk trash, especially that kind of trash, talking about you gonna f them up. I'm expecting 400 yards, 4 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a passer rating of about 120. A QBR of 90 plus. That's the kind of stuff I'm expecting. So then when you get to the post game press conference, you can just simply say, "I told you."
yeah,
But no, he wants to say all of that. And then now he gets to the post game presser and he wants to sit up here, and it sounds like he making excuses. Dude, you the one who said what you said. So if you're gonna talk the talk, walk the walk. It's just that simple. So
you,
it's just for me, let your game do your talking. Just be quiet. Take the high road. Just be like, you know what? I can't wait to play. It would be an amazing. It would be an amazing thing to go up in there as a visitor and actually play your old team. So I'm really excited about this week, and we'll see what happens. And then if you throw 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, 90 QBR, 100 passer rating, then you can just simply say, again, well, my intent was to F them up, and I did just what I did. Baker, man, just shut up and play, man. Just
Yeah,
shut up and play.
yeah, his stat line was 16 for 27, 235 yards, one TD, one pick. He had a QBR of 37.2 and a rating of
Exactly. I
8.7.
mean, it's just to me that doesn't say you effed them up. To me, that just says you effed up. You know. So it's just just shut up and play.
Yep. Moving to the next game. Um, our records are going to stay the same because this game ended in a tie, which I did not see coming. We both took Indianapolis, but for a majority part of this game, Texans was controlling this game, surprisingly. There was one part I was just looking at all the forgetting, like, wait, the Texans are up on the Colts and
Weren't they up 20-7 or something like that?
they were up 20-3.
20-3?
Yeah.
This don't make no sense. I,
Um,
and going back, I've never seen in the history of my life, and I mean, you could probably say in your short lifespan, I have never seen a tie week one of the NFL ever,
no, no.
ever. And I
Um,
just and this game you stayed gripped to because you're just wondering because again Indy had to come back
yeah,
just so they can get to the point to go into overtime,
yeah.
and they had the momentum going into overtime, and they couldn't get it done.
Yeah. Surprisingly, the Texans played really good. Now, yeah, they gave up the lead. They gave up the lead they had. That's what happens when you have a young team. Sometimes they just make mistakes and
Correct.
things like that. Davis Mills, he did take some bad sacks. But overall, I thought the Texans played fairly well. That's obviously due to the veteranship of Lovie Smith there.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm actually like, the Texans, they're not going to make the playoffs, but they could be maybe a fairly competitive team that will try to at least grit some games out and try to win them. Davis Mills, I wasn't high on him, but he did look impressive in some parts of that game.
Well, if you look at it like this, what are the records of the teams in the AFC South right now?
They're all
I
winning.
think they're all 0-1.
Yep.
Well, not the Texans and the Colts. I mean, they're 0-0-1. So I mean, I would probably say, advantage Texans
Yeah.
because the team that's expected to win the division lost in the Tennessee Titans, and I'm pretty sure we'll get to that one pretty shortly. So, and I mean, so this division is for the most part up for grabs. The
Yeah.
Texans can, if they continue the way that they're playing, but once injuries, attrition, and adjustments from team to team set in, I mean, eventually we'll probably see that the Texans will probably tail off a bit. But for right now, the Texans are well within this division.
Yeah. OJ Howard, he was really good for a player that just got up in the building. He had 2 touchdowns. Really good. Davis,
Yeah.
he had a stat line of 23 for 37, 240 yards passing, 2 TDs. Hey,
Both of them OJ Howard too. So,
you'll
and
take
it's also good, and being an Alabama football fan, it's also good to see OJ Howard, what seems to him finding a home.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. Cool.
yeah.
Indianapolis wise, Matt Ryan, he had 50 attempts passing. Jesus. Um, he had 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 352 yards passing. You would think they could score more touchdowns on them. They only had
It was a bunch of dinking and dunking.
yeah.
Bunch of dinking and dunking. Naheem Hines here, Jonathan Taylor here, Pittman here. It was a lot of dinking and dunking. It wasn't too much going down the field. But yeah, I mean that's I mean the Texans did a great job with Lovie Smith's cover too to keep him from going down the field and keep him underneath the defense so that they can control where they're going. So, you know, he tried to I'm pretty sure he wanted to push the ball down the field, but they just couldn't.
Yeah. Jonathan Taylor, he had 31 carries for 161 yards. He's just a great running back.
Yeah.
Michael Pittman
Yeah.
had 9 receptions for 121 yards receiving. It got to overtime. The Colts were in field goal range, but Blankenship, he missed it.
He missed horribly too.
Yeah.
It was bad. I mean, he knew it from the minute that doggone foot hit the ball. And Blankenship is one of the league's better kickers.
Yeah.
But at the same time, so was McPherson of Cincinnati. So it was just a weird week. And I'm pretty sure that these guys are looking forward to atoning for their missed kicks in the weeks to come. But as for week one, yeah, it was just a weird week for kickers.
Yeah.
Because Cairo Santos missed two, albeit in the rain and under those conditions. But, again, it's more missed kicks.
Yep. Next game. Giants at Titans, and
now we're tied.
The Giants pulled off the freaking upset. So
that wasn't an upset. I told you the Giants can play.
Yeah, we both took Tennessee.
No, I took the Giants.
No, you took Tennessee.
I took the Giants.
I went back and watched.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I could have swore I took the Giants.
You took the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, golly gee. Old man kicking in, huh?
You said you took Titans because of Derrick Henry.
You got to stop watching these replays of our videos, man. You should just take my word when we do this and stop looking back. Because now I remember what the heck you said. Yeah, I did.
Now to make my record 6-4.
But I do think I did say that the Giants are a heck of a lot better than what you were saying. And
that is right. You were right.
You looked at me like I was all kinds of crazy.
Yeah. Listen, Titans lost this game more, more than I would say the Giants lost this game. Daniel Jones.
The Titans gave it to them. Yeah, the Titans gave it to them because they were up early and they were dominating. And just like we said before, when these teams go into half and they make their adjustments for the second half, some teams adjusted for the better. Some teams just didn't expect those adjustments to happen. This was one of those games. The Giants adjusted from what they were doing from half to half, and what they did in the second half was good enough to win the game.
Yeah. Saquon Barkley, he played like he was Derrick Henry because he had 18 carries for 164 yards, as well as scoring game-winning touchdown right then and there. Daniel Jones, he was average at best.
He was okay. He didn't lose the game. He didn't win the game. But at the same time, just like we said before, if you run the ball, stop the run, quarterback don't make any mistakes, you can win it. You can win in the NFL.
Yeah. Tannehill, he wasn't bad. I thought he gave a decent performance by his standards.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry.
But again, the Giants were able to stop the run late in the game.
Yeah, they only held Derrick Henry to 82 yards rushing.
Yeah, see, there you go. Stop the run. You run. If you're able to run the ball, you stop the run. And Jones didn't make any mistakes, man. He only
had one pick, one interception.
But I think that was early.
Okay.
Yeah, but late in the game, he didn't really do anything to hurt the Giants, which allowed the defense to settle down, make plays, stop the Titans, give the ball back to the offense.
Yeah. Credit to the Giants. They got the touchdown when they needed it. Their defense kept them in the game. Titans perspective, you would have to score more than 20 points at least on this Giants team.
Correct. And keep in mind, they were up early by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
If I'm correct. I think it was 14-0 in that game.
Yeah. We'll see where the Titans go. But
they'll be fine.
Just seeing the AFC South, it's like you mentioned earlier, it's wide open for the taking now.
Wide open. And we'll see. We'll see as these teams start moving forward, they start playing each other and they get more snaps under their belt, more games into either the left or the right hand column. I think we'll see who's our true pretenders and our true contenders pretty soon.
Yeah.
You don't get to see that in week 1, that's for sure.
Yeah. Next game is the Green Bay Packers getting blown out by the Minnesota Vikings. Prediction wise, we both
went with the Vikings.
Yep. So I'm 7-4. You're 6-5. From the jump, Minnesota just had their way. if I would say this game,
Yeah.
it's the Justin Jefferson game. Justin
Yeah.
Jefferson absolutely demolished these guys.
For me, for me, this game was more about uh, Green Bay and their lack of receivers. Lack of receivers. Minnesota just played man defense from the jump because they knew Rodgers won't be able to find any of them because these guys are average at best. Alan Lazard was out with an ankle injury, and I think he's going to miss the Bears game too.
Yeah,
So
they
they're going
didn't
to,
have Bakhtiari and Elton James.
yeah. So, I mean, the Minnesota defense, they didn't have to blitz him. They just rushed him with his front four. So whether Bakhtiari was there or not, I think they still was just going to make sure that they cover all these receivers just so Aaron Rodgers can
Yeah.
be the I don't know what your viewership is like, but I really don't like Aaron Rodgers.
I don't like him
I
either.
really, yeah. I mean, to me, he's a punk, So he's eye candy, and
Yeah.
when the pressure is on, and here's another thing that's just driving me nuts. You have a lot of these talking heads picking the Green Bay Packers as the NFC Super Bowl contender, all because of Aaron Rodgers. Man, get out of here with that nonsense. With this wide receiving core, man, they're gonna be lucky to hit 500.
Yep. They definitely missed Devontae Adams.
Mm-hmm.
Christian
Mm-hmm.
Watson, he did have a wide open pass that he just dropped. It would have been a walk-in touchdown right then and there.
Yep.
He dropped it.
So, but just like any other game, I don't think Aaron Rodgers will be coming to any press conferences soon talking about relax because he knows what's in that wide receiver room. So my hope is that the Bears keep that going and jump him early and often. If you notice, the majority of Aaron Rodgers' receptions went to his running backs.
Yep.
Went to his running backs because he knows he has no faith in those wide receivers. Now, once Lazard comes back, who knows?
Yeah.
But Lazard is definitely his number one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Minnesota, they definitely looked really good offensively. So Kevin O'Connell coming over from the Rams is doing a good thing.
yeah,
And their defense, their defense was very stout. And if they can play like that on a consistent basis, they
yeah.
definitely can win the NFC North, and they definitely could be potentially up there for a Super Bowl contender right then and there.
The only thing that caught me as strange was as much as they passed the football, they only got 23 points out of it.
Yeah.
So I mean, they really threw it around a lot, but they only got 23 points. It's week one, so I don't know if that was indicative of what Green Bay was doing defensively or what Minnesota couldn't do offensively. So we'll see moving forward. So it's going to be interesting how the NFC North shapes up because, Detroit did look really good. Do they look NFC North champion good? We'll see. It was only week one. But Minnesota's defense was very good.
Yeah. The Darius Smith, he got his revenge on his former team.
Yeah.
Yeah, too. So yeah.
Yeah.
Next game, Chiefs against the Cardinals. Prediction wise, I took KC and you took Arizona.
Hold on. There was a caveat to that, wasn't it? Didn't I say I'll take Arizona if JJ Watt plays?
No, you said in that video, I'm taking Arizona because JJ Watt.
But he didn't play.
Yeah, he didn't play.
That's right. So you need to
I
go
can give
ahead
it
and
to
get that
you.
one back. Yeah, get that one back.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah, get that one back. Because if JJ Watt had played, I think they probably would have done a little bit better. Maybe Mahomes would have threw 4 touchdowns instead of 5. But
Yeah. So prediction wise, right now, you want to keep score. I'm 8-4. You're 7-5 right now.
okay, all right. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. You got to listen to them caveats, but I won't throw too many caveats out. Consistently. I don't want to make it seem like I'm making excuses for my bad picks.
Chiefs just did the Chiefs were the Chiefs. The Chiefs were the Chiefs. That's all I can say.
Man, I looked at the stats. And I was just like, man, Patrick Mahomes is a bad boy. This dude, this dude is on some next level good. And the receivers they're good. And Miko Hardman is now playing the same role as Tyreek Hill did. He got a touchdown. So it was just like, okay, man, they ain't miss a beat. They haven't missed a beat. And man, it's going to the AFC between the Chiefs and Bills. Man, if they meet up in the AFC Championship again, yeah, do we might have to do one of them games. Watch that just live on television or something, because that game is gonna be bonkers.
Yeah. On the Cardinals side of things, Kyler Murray sucked. Get paid all that money, and yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure that you probably have a lot of talking heads that wants to, talk a little trash. Well, maybe he didn't read the playbook, some crap like that. So I hate that for Kyler Murray, but I honestly think, and for me, just like I said before, to me, the key to that football team is J.J. Watt being on the field. They were, I think, 8-0 last year, 8-1, 9-1, something like that last year when J.J. Watt went down. And they pretty much were in a straight decline from that point forward. And to me, this is no different.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm seeing who's Arizona's playing next. They're playing the Raiders. They should win that game, but then again, if Derek Carr doesn't have any turnovers, well, they should win that game. But we'll get over the next video.
Sure.
The next video.
Yeah.
But yeah. Listen, there's nothing really else to say about it. It was just a complete domination.
It was an ass whooping. You can say it.
Next game, Raiders versus Chargers. We both went with the Chargers, and they ended up winning. So
by the hair of their chinny chin chin.
Yeah, so I'm 9-4 and you're 8-5.
Thank you.
Justin Herbert, again, what more else can we say? That dude is that dude. He is just
Dan Marino Jr.
They lost Keenan Allen this game, and he was still finding receivers, and he's throwing darts to these guys.
Oh my goodness gracious! I'm pretty sure he had a lot of broken hands in that wide receiver room because he was throwing some straight up missiles.
I think my favorite touchdown was the one to I think freaking Carter. We darted in between the backer and the top and the safety. That was
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Marino Jr., Dan Marino Jr. However, I will say, they did make it interesting by, they did let the Raiders back into this game in a sense. Don't let the score fool you. It was a little bit, the score basically says that it was, for me, the score basically said it wasn't a close game. But don't let it. The Raiders are going to be very good this year.
Yeah. If Derek Carr doesn't have turnover, if he doesn't have those 3 interceptions.
Correct. But I think he was mostly force feeding, coming from behind.
Yeah.
Force feeding for Devontae Adams, because I think Devontae Adams had, 17, 18 targets. Football teams kind of pick up on those things.
Yeah.
So when you try to force feed, and to me, that was one of the issues with Devontae in Green Bay, is that Rodgers did everything just to try to get Adams the football, and I don't know if that was indicative of what Adams wanted, or it was an indicative of what Rodgers wanted. But looking at this game right here, yeah, he force-fed the ball to Adams quite a bit.
Yeah. Devontae Adams still had a good game regardless. He had 141 yards, so
correct.
Like with whatever court, it don't matter what well, if you have to at least have a really good, at least a solid quarterback to get you the ball. But
Correct. But you got to balance that out, though. You just
yeah,
can't have, you have to be able to balance that out. 18 targets to one guy. I mean, that's fine. I mean, if you have, you know, 50, 40, 45, attempts. But how many attempts did David Carr have?
37.
37 attempts, and half of them went to one guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, defenses have a tendency of picking up on that. So you got to be careful. It's going to be some days in which that 37 and 18 targets to one guy works out. But, you got to watch that when you're playing some really good teams. You just can't force feed the ball to one guy.
Yep. Last point I want to make, Chargers defense, especially that defensive line, is insanely good. With Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, they single-handedly stopped the Raiders in that last drive trying to come back and win that game.
Yep. Yep. And we talked about that in our last video, is that if these two stay healthy, the Chargers are going to be something to deal with. You got to make sure you run the ball against the Chargers, because if you don't, these two are just going to grind their heels in and get after that quarterback, and it might be the best tandem in the league.
Chargers have a really good matchup this upcoming Thursday against the Chiefs in Kansas City. So I can't wait for that. That's going to be good.
Oh, yeah. I think I'm going to stay up for that one.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I don't even have to go to work on Friday. So, yes, sir, I'm going to stay up.
The game that ended off the Sunday games was the Buccaneers versus Cowboys. Just complete domination by the Buccaneers. If the Buccaneers actually scored touchdowns, it would have been legitimately maybe 40-3. Wise, I took Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So I'm 10-4. You're 8-6.
Yeah. You know what? I don't like the Cowboys. I should have never.
Well, they're dead in the water now.
I thought they would have had some stones, but again, I forgot they had cats like Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield who have no stones. And I honestly thought, based on last year's game, which was a very good game last year against the Buccaneers, the first game of the year, I would have thought the Cowboys would have been able to adjust from that game and beat a team whose quarterback is 45 years old, missed 11 days in training camp, and came back from what a lot of people were saying was mentally drained from personal reasons. Oh, man, come on, Dallas. Give me a break. And all y'all can muster up with 3 points.
Yeah. They did nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Offensive line was being blown up by that Buccaneers front. And
nothing.
Guess what? The Buccaneers were only practically kicking field goals this game. If they had scored a touchdown, maybe it changes some momentum for the Cowboys, but they weren't even moving the ball.
19 points. You would think if your defense gives up 19 points, you should win that game.
Yep.
You would think. But no, traditional thinking goes out the window when you're dealing with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yep.
And now they lost their quarterback for 6 weeks.
Yep. And they got Cooper Rush.
Oh. They got Cooper Rush. And guess what they're gonna wind up doing with Cooper Rush? Hey, Ezekiel Elliott, we're gonna hand the ball off to you. So do me a favor, run hard.
Defensively, the Buccaneers look really good. Offensively, they got to be better. But it's Tom Brady; they'll find ways to be better. Julio Jones made a really good catch, and even Mike Evans made a crazy touchdown catch.
Crazy catch. Now I'll say this. Now Brady, for me, best quarterback ever. There's no doubt, no comparison. I don't care who I talk to. I don't care who tries to talk to me. You can tell me, I don't care. Brady is the best. And what makes him the best is that he looks at what you're doing as a defense, and he knows he knows what to do to counter it. And in this particular case, okay, you got this really stud on the ends who likes to pass rush. We're gonna run right at his little behind, because as a pass rusher, he's small. As a linebacker, he's got some good size on him. Run right at him. Leonard Fournette, what do you have? 27 carries and over 120 something yards rushing. Ran right at him. Off tackle left, off tackle right, run right up the middle, dominate the A gaps. That's exactly what Tampa Bay did. Didn't have to throw the ball much.
Yep, that's pretty much it. Buccaneers got a good matchup against the Saints next week, so I'm definitely be watching that game.
I'm gonna watch that one too. Historically, the Buccaneers do not do well when they go into New Orleans,
Yeah.
so that's gonna be an interesting game, especially now with I think Godwin's out for Tampa Bay, if I'm correct.
We'll see. Well, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I think he's out. Well, I shouldn't say I think he's out. I know he didn't he leave the Cowboys game early?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's gonna be something interesting to watch for. But they're going to New Orleans, and historically, Tampa Bay has had a rough time going into New Orleans.
We have 2 minutes left. Do you think they'll be able to fit in all this Denver Broncos Seattle stuff we want to talk about?
No, but I'll say this: you can't fumble on the 1 yard line twice in the same damn game and expect to win. Broncos deserve to lose.
Yeah. We'll be back just to talk about this one last game, and then we'll be done with the video.
Okay.
Okay, and then the last game we're going to talk about is the Denver Broncos versus the Seattle Seahawks in a game that
You gonna talk about it. Me personally, just like I said before, you can't fumble twice on the 1 yard line, twice on the 1 yard line. I'm gonna say it again, twice on the 1 yard line, and expect to win a football game. No freaking way.
Yeah, this game was hyped up since like preseason. Just from the standpoint, it's Russell Wilson's return to Seattle after being traded to the Denver Broncos.
Yes.
Surprisingly, you would think Seattle would cheer Russell Wilson for everything he's pretty much done for the city. But no, the moment he ran out, they booed him.
But didn't he want out?
Well, yeah, he wanted out a little bit because he knew the team wasn't going to go nowhere.
Yeah, I don't think it was mutual. I think he wanted out.
Yeah, he wanted.
I think behind the scenes, Seattle kind of wanted him out too, just
Yeah.
so they can dump that $36 million contract from their books.
Yeah.
So, but they never really said anything like that, or nothing that I've heard.
Yeah.
So the fans, for the most part, got the thinking that Russ wanted out.
Yeah, and there's like back stuff where like I guess him and Pete Carroll were kind of like beefing. They didn't see eye to eye anymore.
Correct.
So simple as that. That's just stuff that happens in the world. Sometimes you just don't see eye to eye with somebody, and
you don't.
Ways. I mean, and then Seattle wasn't willing to pay him the money he was asking for anyway.
Oh no, that wasn't gonna happen again. I mean, we'll give it to you the first time. But to sit up here and try to give you the kind of money that these quarterbacks are making right now, no freaking way. I mean, I think what is he getting right now? 40+ million now?
Pretty much.
Yeah,
The
man,
contract pulled up, but he's getting a lot of money.
No, he's getting no way. No way. And in this day and age right now, it's really difficult to win when your quarterback is logging that much of a percentage from your cap.
Yeah.
So, Mahomes, Allen, I mean, those two guys might be the exception to the rule, but I mean, that's a hard thing to do when you are logging up a good percentage of your cap.
Yeah, and then even when you add the guaranteed money into that whole aspect.
Correct. And now you got Lamar Jackson talking about he wants his contract fully guaranteed. Fully guaranteed. Baltimore gonna be like, deuces, dude. Deuces, no way.
If that happens, man, oh my goodness.
No, there is a quarterback. I think it's Kirk Cousins. It was somebody who has a fully guaranteed contract.
I think it's I think it is Kirk Cousins, but
I think it's Kirk Cousins too. A fully guaranteed contract.
Right now, I say the next domino is either gonna be Lamar Jackson or Justin Herbert that gets that big deal.
Maybe. I'll say Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Because Lamar Jackson, I mean, he's going to get viewed as a one-trick pony. You're only a runner. You're not a thrower. And we need a thrower.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people – and Miami might be in the Miami might be in the mix for Lamar services, but I can honestly see Baltimore to try to get into those, that C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young sweepstakes.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
wouldn't be shocked if they start to lose some football games.
we'll see.
Lamar
We'll
gets
see. Um,
Lamar mysteriously gets hurt.
we'll see. We'll see. My thoughts. I kind of wish that I understand. Maybe when the game started, yeah, you can boo Russell Wilson, but I kind of wish they did cheer him. He did bring you guys a super. He did bring Seattle a Super Bowl. He did bring them a Super Bowl, and he did keep them competitive for a good chunk of years, pretty much.
Correct.
So I don't think he ultimately deserved it. If you look internally, it's just he didn't see eye to eye with where the team was going. You can't really fault somebody like that. It's the same thing like Tom Brady. He didn't see eye to eye with what New England was doing, and he already knew, oh crap,
Correct.
I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, and then on top of that, I mean, yeah. Speaking of Tom Brady, Belichick was pretty much,
Kicking him out
setting
the
him up to
door.
fail. He was setting them up to fail anyway. I'm gonna give everything to the defense, give nothing to the offense, and if you think you're so good, then you know what you run this offense. But I don't want you here. I want to get a quarterback. I want to go ahead and build this team up the way I want, and I want to show you I'm a better coach than you are a football player.
Yeah,
That kind of stuff. And Lamar Jackson is going to be in that same realm. Bear is going to get crazy paid. He going to get crazy paid. And, Kansas City is also showing that even though we got a crazy paid quarterback, then we can still put the pieces around him to succeed. Case in point, Mahomes threw 5 touchdowns with a bunch of, without a true number one wide receiver.
yeah. Other than Kelsey, really, beyond.
Well, yeah, I guess. And I don't know, did they re-sign him?
Yeah, they already re-signed Kelsey. Kelsey's still in the.
They re-signed Kelsey? Okay. But then you know what, then I stand corrected.
Yeah, and they got
Because
Juju Smith-Schuster there.
he ain't the number one. He's already shown he wasn't the number one. When, right after Brown left, he couldn't get open. You know. Sky Moore, Mecole Hardman. I mean, for me, they're Sky Moore, the jury's still out on him. Mecole is as quick as a hiccup and even faster. So they do have speed to take the top off the defense, and Kelsey can be able to do whatever he needs to do underneath. So can Juju. So Kansas City, but at the same time, at the top of it all, they still got the best QB in the game.
Yeah. It was weird, but it was also kind of cool just to hear Troy Aikman and Joe Buck on the Monday Night Football cast. It was better than Dan Orlovsky and Louis Riddick, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I got to admit.
I
Well,
mean,
you know what? And we never liked Riddick anyway.
yeah.
And it just got confirmed with his thoughts on the Bears. But yeah, I mean, I've always liked Buck and Aikman on the Fox broadcast, and I even like it more now that they're on Monday Night Football. So yeah, I thought it was a pretty cool thing. You still have the same, back and forth between the two, which is actually quite entertaining. You actually get some really good knowledge out of football as well too from those two.
Yeah. I did watch the Manning cast as well. I still think I do like the Manning cast when I tune in and watch it. It was funny to see the live reaction, if you haven't seen it yet, of Shannon Sharp. He was on there the moment they lose the game. He was losing his mind, which
Okay, I think I'll watch it. I think I will watch. I didn't see it.
Yeah, it was absolutely funny because he was questioning like, now why would Shannon Sharp, if you watch Undisputed. Now, I still find it hilarious how they brought a Fox Sports personality on an ESPN broadcast, but it's the Mannings. They should have
Yeah,
whatever they want.
yeah.
To
And
do.
then, well, I mean, even though he's a Fox personality on ESPN, he's a former Bronco.
Yeah, yeah,
I think he went in the Hall of Fame as a Bronco.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, to me, it makes sense. But just to go back and show you, man, when you fumble twice on the 1 yard line, man, you ain't gonna win that game.
yeah,
There's nothing you can do to win that game. I mean, and they really couldn't get to Geno.
yeah,
They had Russell Wilson on the move. in a lot of situations in the game. That defense could not get to Geno at all. He stepped up in the pockets many times. One particular is he stepped up into the pocket and
And he
he
threw that
found Will
touchdown.
Disley. He
Yep.
found Will Disley, and the next closest player was like 20 yards away.
Yeah. That was the
So
they scored.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was their first touchdown.
Yeah.
And it was pretty much indicative. And now, granted, I mean, Seattle scored touchdowns and Denver kicked field goals. You don't win that way.
Yeah.
You don't win that way. Denver had one touchdown.
Yeah.
Seattle had two.
Yeah, Denver honestly should have won this game. They went for it on fourth down and fumbled. I don't know why they didn't think about it and had put Javonte Williams in the game, but they put Melvin Gordon. I don't know. He's not really a power back.
And Javonte Williams he's a hard runner too, man.
Yeah.
This guy just seems to love the contact. So again, I'm gonna still go back. You can't fumble twice on the 1 yard line and expect to win a football game. It just ain't in the cards for you. I mean, the play call seemed great. So you really can't blame whoever calls the plays, because the team is supposed to go out to execute the play regardless of what was called. But it seemed like it was the same play both times, and both times it was fumbled. Just can't fumble twice in a 1 yard line in the same game and expect to win.
Yeah, Geno Smith, he had his coming out party. He even said in his post-game press conference, people were writing me off. Now I'm like, calm down there, Geno Smith. That's just one game now. Now,
man, just one game. Yeah, one game. And you should have lost that game if those two fumbles were actual TDs. So I don't expect the Broncos to do that again. If they do it again, then yeah, them two people who fumble need to get the heck out of the locker room. So I'm happy for Geno that they won. I'm pretty sure he's blessed that they won. But at the same time, though, in his defense, you can't come to the dog. Yeah, I mean, you can't come to the post-game presser and say, well, you know what? I feel lucky that we won because they fumbled twice. I can't say anything like that, man. It doesn't exude confidence. So I'm happy for Geno because he's been in the league a long time. He's been with a lot of teams, and no one seems to have any type confidence in him whatsoever. So hopefully he'll take this week and build on it.
yeah. The last thing I want to talk about the game is the last drive the Broncos had. Now, they were driving down the field, and they needed at least a field goal to win the game or be put in good range for a field goal. Now, they get stopped. It's 4th and 5, and for some odd reason, Nathaniel Hackett does not call a timeout to at least think well, you should go for it because, hey, you're paying Russell Wilson all this money. Put the ball in his hands, and if you don't convert, you don't convert. If you do, hey, you can call another timeout because they had 3 timeouts.
Yeah.
And
they had 2, but they had more than one. I'll say that.
Yeah. They could have ran another play.
They sure could. And me personally, the way I see it is that now he knows what it's like being a head coach as opposed to being an offensive coordinator. As an offensive coordinator, you probably are just the thinking is probably a little different. As a head coach, then yeah, the thinking should be different. If for example, if it was Riverboat Ron, what do you think he would have did? Coach Rivera, he would have went for it. I don't think there would have been any question. You got that quarterback in that situation under that scenario against this team, which he used to play for. I think he would have went for it. I'm pretty sure Russell Wilson wanted to go for it, and he didn't call a timeout. So then he's in the moment because again, all of his experiences as a coordinator, not a head coach.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what happens. Jake McManus comes out to try to make a 65-yard field goal. He had the leg. He just missed it left.
He missed it. I mean, historically, McManus have had, big kicks, and he's got the boot, and he had the distance. It just drifted left.
Yep.
Happens.
Yeah. But overall, that ends what was a really great week one of NFL football.
Best in a while. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't recall any week ones where we've seen this many overtimes, tie game, comebacks, bad weather. I mean, we've seen some really. We saw it was really entertaining this week.
Yeah.
The new crew on Monday night. So um, both Super Bowl participants from the prior year lose. So it was a great week one. Looking forward to week two, especially looking forward to week two with Green Bay and the Bears.
Yeah. I'm not.
I am.
I just hope they just don't get blown.
Man, I gotta admit that D line. I really like what those ends are doing. I'm not crazy about our undersized defensive tackles, but I'm really interested in seeing how this defense can react when the weather is not a problem. I want to see it. I just want to see that.
Yeah.
So, but if and I want to, and honestly, I just want to beat Aaron Rodgers. Just whoop him. Just beat him.
Yeah.
I want to see
Next,
Brisker get a really good hit on him when he blitzes.
next video when we come back, we'll give our week two predictions. Probably the more than likely the Saturday or Friday or Saturday, one of the 2 days. We'll come back.
We could since I'm gonna be up
Mm-hmm.
because this weekend I'm going to Regensburg to watch the the first round of the World Baseball Classic.
Mm-hmm.
So we could after the game on Thursday.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
That'd be fine. That'll be better for me.
Okay, that's fine. But as of for week one predictions, I came out the winner. So right now I'm 1-0.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. No need to tally up. Let's just go. Whoever has the most wins for that week, you win
Yep.
that week, and you're
Yep.
1-0. I can do that.
Yep. So
I can do that.
that's the thing there. So for week one, I'll take week
Right.
hopefully my uncle Darrell for his case week two.
I could have swore I picked the Giants, man. I could have swore I picked the Giants.
Now you got to go
And the
back.
Browns. I could have swore I picked the Giants and the Browns, but
You did pick the
it
Browns.
is. I did pick the Browns. I just didn't pick the Giants.
Yeah, you didn't pick the Giants.
I didn't pick the Giants.
No.
I picked the the one that's the one that and the Cowboys. I can tell you right now, I'm not picking the Cowboys anymore this year.
Nope. Nope.
I don't give a damn who they playing. I will take the loss. I'm not picking the Cowboys. I'm not having any faith in the Cowboys this football season.
Yep.
To me, they're eliminated from competition.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, we'll be back. If you guys like the video, leave a like. Put in the comment section your thoughts on the week one games for the NFL, as well as hit the subscribe button. You want to get more week one or more NFL content on the channel or sports content on the channel. And NBA basketball is coming out soon within the month, so definitely hype for that. Can't wait to talk about NBA basketball. But other than that, we'll see you guys in the next video. So till then, guys, stay safe up there and have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Later.